Well, blessings, everybody, and welcome back to Luke Part 1. This is lesson number 11, the last lesson, I believe, of this course. We'll go straight in Part 2. Now, the first video, we're going to be looking at Luke 15, so hang on here. You see that there's three parables that Jesus is given right here. Now, the parable of the lost sheep, the lost coin, and the lost son. I'm assuming you've done all your homework and you've read everything, you've reread it, and you're very familiar with it. I just want to hit a couple of highlights. The big picture of this thing is that we are to rejoice when those which were lost are found. You saw the example. They rejoiced when they found the lost sheep, when they found the lost coin. Really rejoiced when they found the lost son. We'll look at that a little more in just a moment. And you think, well, anybody would think that. Well, not really. The tax collectors and the sinners were coming to hear Jesus. Pharisees and religionists were furious over this. Jesus called the sinners to repent. And the sinners were repenting. But the self-righteous felt like they didn't need to repent. So they were actually belittling Jesus. They had started off trying to go toe-to-toe with him with an argument and found out that didn't work out very well. Right? Then they started doing little things, this and that, to try to undermine him. We saw where they tried to get him to try to scare him with Herod. Remember that? Tried to do all this kind of stuff. Now they're just seeking to belittle him. So Jesus responds to that with these three parables. Look at the last one right here. You know the story, you know the account, you know what happened right here. The picture that we saw is that the father is a picture of God, that the younger brother is a picture of the sinners, and the older brother is the religious rulers. The older brother was an interesting encounter right there. You probably heard a lot of sermons related to him and things like that. And I find it interesting. People call it the parable of the prodigal son. Yeah, that's okay. But it's really about the father. It's really about the father, and it's really about the two sons. And so that older son comes to the father, and father comes out, tries to get him to come into the party. And the older son says, this son of yours has done this and done that, which he really had no evidence that he had done that. But the father was very patient, very compassionate, and he looked at him, he said, this brother of yours. That little juxtaposition right there tells us so much. The bottom line with all this is that we are to rejoice when the lost is found. We are to rejoice when a sinner repents. You think, well, everybody does that. Well, no, not necessarily. Because I tell you what, we want our fish caught, scaled, gutted, and filleted, and wrapped in saran wrap. We forget what Jesus said. Remember when he raised Lazarus from the dead? He raises Lazarus from the dead, and he comes out, and he looks at the people, and he tells them to take off his grave clothes. Jesus could have pulled him right out of his grave clothes. But we have a role and responsibility to help take off those grave clothes. I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.